So we live in a world which is moving very fast, which requires actually updating and improving product development pipeline. So in the old times, actually a product would have a competitive advantage for a certain period of time, but in today's business arena, this competitive advantage can actually disappear in a matter of weeks or months or just 1 year. So it's very important to improve the product development and product improvement pipeline. So before diving into the product lifecycle management services as we will be describing it, I would like to take a 5 minutes to introduce NSF International. So NSF International is a global independent public health and safety organization with the mission of helping and improving human health, which is very important to us. The company was founded in 1944, which actually this year is celebrating the 75th anniversary. And the company started by developing food safety standards, and the business grew tremendously, especially the last 2 decades. And the business has been internationalized, and right now, actually, we are looking at more than 60 different locations. We service our customers in more than 175 countries. And we provide services that revolve around, as I said before, the very first core business, which is standard development, whether it's on a food, drinking water, indoor air, dietary supplement, and so on and so forth. But we also provide services around testing, certification. Since we develop and we write those standards, we can actually certify products, we can certify systems based on those standards. We do also auditing, consulting, and training. So NSF International provides services in different industries, and we are organized in divisions. The most important division is the food safety division, although we have other divisions which are also important, such as sustainability, the water quality, management system, or health science. The interesting thing right now in terms of a supply chain is things are becoming more and more complex. I mean, if you look at the food industry and you compare it with other industries, this is an industry which is highly efficient. I mean, it has been the case for the last 20, 30 years is that business partners that I have been trying to find efficiencies everywhere. And today, if you want to know where your ingredients are coming from, you really have to make a lot of effort and make sure that those suppliers actually are safe. So we at NSF provide services throughout the supply chain, from primary production through to the consumers. And we more and more encounter challenges that revolve around the food safety, whether it's a food fraud, whether it's animal welfare, sustainability, digital innovation. We'll talk more about digital transformation, digital innovation, and how this actually affects the food industry is a very important question that needs to be addressed. So we at NSF actually provide 3 sets of services for food-related businesses. I mean, the main objective is to help companies sell or commercialize safe and quality products. This is the ultimate objective. So we do that through 3 sets of services. The first one, I call it product-related services, anything that touch a product. It can be certifying a product, it can be reviewing its label, it can be reviewing its specification, it can be managing complaints coming from a consumer. So everything that has a relationship with the product, we do that, and to make sure that companies introduce and manufacture a safe product. The second set of services that NSF provide is system-related services. So anything that has an objective of improving and maintaining the food safety. It can be consulting on the food safety management system. It can be certifying a food safety management system. It can be working on a food safety culture. So anything that's revolve around the product, because it's not only about the product. You need to make sure that you work in an environment and you have a system in place that's going to help you manufacture a safe product. And the third actually set of services that we provide, anything around digital innovation. I know we know very well that the last 10, 15 years there's a lot of things going on in terms of digital transformation, in terms of digital innovation, data mining, artificial intelligence. So we use a lot of those technologies in order to enhance and augment our own service, our core services. So let's right now actually dive into the product lifecycle management services. I mean, based on the studies that we've conducted actually here in Belgium, it's very clear that there is actually some weak points when it comes to product development and product management, especially for the food industry, because our experience says that in general companies, they try to develop a product in-house, they taste a product in-house, and once they introduce a product into the market, they try actually to come up with a competitive advantage. So, and it's very difficult once you have already introduced the product to differentiate from the competition, which is very, very important to know. We don't do business in a complete isolation of the surrounding environment. So therefore, introducing a product and in developing it require actually taking into consideration what the consumer wants. And this is something actually that we have been doing for the last 15 years. And we were able actually throughout the product life cycle to come up with a quite innovative way of helping companies to introduce not only a safe product, but also a product that's going to succeed in the market. So, and we do that through combining two sets of services. The first one, we call it technical services. So we can mention something like developing a label, developing a specification. It can be something about supporting the company when it comes to food legislation, doing complaint management. Those are the technical services from the food safety and food quality perspective. But we were able at the same time to combine those services, again, across the product life cycle. And those services actually touch the consumer. And these are a set of marketing insight services. So we conduct quantitative and qualitative studies, benchmark study, in order to understand exactly what the consumer wants. Because before starting the process of developing a product, one need absolutely to include the voice of the consumer early on in the process in order to make sure that the success rate in the marketplace is high. And this is something that actually is not happening all the time. As I said before, we have several requests from customers to do, for example, a benchmark studies in order to come up with a competitive advantage. So once your product is on the shelf in the supermarket and you want to differentiate with the competition, it's quite too late. That's why it's very important to add the voice of the consumer early on in the process. And just to give you actually the three main reasons why new products fail in the market, and I can mention a rate of between 70 to 90% of new products do not really succeed in the market. And the three main reasons, which is coming from a well-known product development guru, The first one is me too or tired new products. So basically what we try to do as a company, just develop a product that's gonna be similar of what's going on in the market. The second main reason why products fail in the marketplace is weak front-end homework. So it is very important to do the homework to prepare the pipeline, to prepare actually the inputs of this process. The third one, which is very important, it's a lack of customer and market insights. So and this is very, very important. As I said, it's the product that has a different attribute, that has a competitive advantage, which is a product that is compelling. This kind of product will have high chance of succeeding in the marketplace. So just to give you some ideas in terms of the environment in which we work. It has been said actually in the business literature that in the food industry the product life cycle has a sort of a 3-year phase, a 3-year cycle. But we found out actually based on our experience that it's not actually 3 years. It can be 6 months. It can be maximum 1 year, because what's happening is that the competition is catching up. Even though you are developing and you are introducing a very interesting and compelling product, the product needs to be improved all the time to make sure it has it keeps its market share. So it's very important to take that into consideration. The environment is very important. We don't do business in vacuum, in a complete isolation. So how to do that then? So based on those 3 reasons why products fail in the market. So as NSF, we developed a set of services that combine 2 kinds of capabilities. The first one is a technical capability, and the second one is consumer or market insight capability. As I said before, it's very important to address and understand what consumer want, to understand the trends in terms of food industry. So in terms of product concept, you want to develop a product going to succeed in the market. So consumer trend, competition, you need to understand what the competition is doing. You need to understand those unmet needs. And also, it's very important to see actually what is the specific attribute. So once you start developing product, you need to have that the end game in the mind in order to be able to come up with those specific attributes that you're going to communicate to your consumer and make sure that those attributes have this competitive advantage. So the first thing to do actually to get some market data. We do that through a desk research. I just give you some of the output of the study that we have been conducting here in Belgium. The 2 main criteria of food product choices. The first one is the price, and the second one actually is the taste. So it's very interesting that because no matter what the consumer says, at the end of the day, price is the most important factor in a decision making, in a buying behavior, followed by the taste. So, but before having this product tasted, the product needs to be appealing in the marketplace. So quantitative research is very important. Sometimes we do that through online surveys, through the conversation we have with the consumers. We have some qualitative information through a focus group whereby we invite consumers who knows who have been consuming the type of product, the target product, and we have this conversation with them in order to understand what they really would want in terms of product, what type of innovative product they would want. And we do that, and we combine that with the ingredient, which is very important as well. So the ingredient, one of the studies we conducted recently was to do a benchmark analysis to try to understand what's the difference between the product target with that of the competition. And we found very interesting information through the analysis we did on the ingredient side and on the formulation side and on the origin. We found out that there is one ingredient that makes the difference, and that ingredient actually constitutes the competitive advantage. So we come back to the company and say, actually, we did a thorough scanning of the competition, and we found out that in your product you have this certain ingredient. Sometimes it's origin that makes the difference. So you better communicate this competitive advantage. And this is very important because right now, I mean, the competitive advantage is not something very easy to find. But through the combining this food technology expertise with the marketing and consumer insight expertise, we are able to come up with recommendation in terms of how to communicate the attributes of the product. So within the product development phase, we look at the ingredients. We make sure that the ingredients are safe, legal, with certain quality, they are authentic. But most importantly, the ingredients need to come from a reliable suppliers. So, which means that sometimes you need to send them a questionnaire, sometimes you go there to audit them. So it's not that easy because, as I said before, the supply chain in the food arena is quite complex. So you need to know exactly where your product is coming from, because there is a lot of risk out there, whether from a food fraud or from the food defense or in the microbiological hazard. So it's very important to assess that. So in terms of recipe developments, and we work with chefs, we make sure that the formulation is stable. So we have a team of more than 20 food technologists and dietitians who can support you in terms of formulation development and recipe development. The food law, I mean, this is something very important as well. When you look at legislation, as you can see, there's a lot of things in the food law, things that you can do, things that you can do. But most importantly, there is a lot of controversies in terms of ingredient, in terms of additives, etc. So you don't want to have a product which is legal from a food safety perspective today, but since you didn't do this scanning, you find out that it has certain ingredient that next year actually this ingredient will be forbidden, or this ingredient will increase in terms of controversy. So you need to understand exactly that legislation has a fixed rules, but there is also things that revolve around the food legislation that need to be taken into consideration, because we are aware of the investment that's being done in the food in R&D departments. It's very important to see, although an additive would be a completely legal, but there might be some controversies around it that need to be avoided. So, as I said before, I mean, the second most important criteria in terms of buying behavior is the taste. So we do actually at NSF several types of sensory testing, whether it's expert panels. So we invite experts, for example, coffee experts or tea experts, or people that know exactly the product, they have been consuming the product for a long time. They can actually identify the high quality product. We can do that actually at the early stage of the formulation development, to do a sort of discovery panel within a very small team of 5 to 6 people, and just to discuss with the chefs and try and actually to improve the recipe. And we also do the consumer panel. I mean, it can be 60 people, it can be 120 panelists. It depends on different methodology. But the point is, as I said before, is to differentiate from the competition and to make sure that the product is going to really be adding value to the end consumer. So once you have actually a product which has a certain recipe, it has a safe ingredient, you need to make sure that the product actually has the proper labeling. There is a labeling component in the food industry, and this kind of labeling is becoming more and more important. There is a lot of recalls out there due to improper labeling. There is a legend, there is health claim. So the labeling, actually science, is becoming more complex as the legislation is becoming more complex as well. So it's very important to rely on experts, and we have those experts per product category. We have experts in meat, we have experts in bakery, we have experts in cheese, and so on and so forth. Again, I really guide you to have the right label and the right messaging as well on the packaging. So the packaging is very interesting. I mean, you can your product can be actually the best product in terms of taste, but in terms of the taste. But if your product is not appealing, does not have an appealing packaging, does not have sustainable packaging, I mean, your product wouldn't even get bought in the marketplace. So it's very important to develop an appealing packaging that's going to differentiate from the competition. And we help companies actually develop a really innovative packaging through this session of focus group, where we invite consumers and we hand over to them a different set of packaging, and we'll actually ask them questions in order to be able to choose the right and the best packaging. Also, we live in a world that is more and more digital. We handle, I mean, 100,000, if not hundreds of thousands of information daily. So we help companies, for example, develop a specification. Specification is, it can be made of 10 to 20 pages with a lot of information out there, but there is only just one part of this information that is going to be translated in the labeling. So we thought actually this type of information that are part of the specification can be shown to the end consumer through digital solution. For example, we developed an augmented reality application where you can actually, based on your own criteria as a consumer, find in the supermarket at the retail level exactly the product that you really want. If you want a product with low sugar, a product that's going to be sustainable, a product that has been manufactured locally, you click on those attributes in the app, and you will find your product in the supermarket. So there is more and more technology that have been developed to help consumer to make the right choice based on their own criteria. So once the product actually is on the marketplace, so assuming that the product has included the voice of the consumer early on in the process, you really need to assess the performance of the product in the marketplace through doing a gap analysis or performance tracking. Sometimes actually you have feedback from consumers in the form of complaints. You need to make sure that complaints are managed effectively. And at the end of the product life cycle, and when the competition have catched up, you need to revamp and improve your product. This is a must in the food industry. There is a lot of things going on. There is a lot of catching up going on between the competitors. So it's very important to improve your product along the way. And these all things actually, the combination of those services, those technical services and the consumer insight services increase the likelihood of the success of the product in the marketplace. So some companies actually would go only for one piece of the full life cycle. Some companies actually, and we helped recently a company improving their complete product range as was their strategy, and right now they are improving and they are implementing our recommendation. So it is very important to take into consideration that the voice of consumer should be included, but also a monitoring of the product in the marketplace and to make sure that the product is successful. So thank you very much for joining me. I would like to open a Q&A session. So just go ahead if you want to ask, unmute yourself, just ask a question. So we have Awa Williams who has a question. She raised her hand. Can you go ahead? No. Any questions? So there is actually the participant feedback piece here on Ready Talk. You can even write your question if you want. So if there is no question, okay, yes, will the presentation? Okay, Craig Adams asked whether the presentation will be shared. So yeah, we can share the presentation among the attendees, of course. Any other question? Okay, if there is no more question, again, thank you very much for joining me today, and do not hesitate to come back to me for a question or for clarification on the process and how to introduce a successful product. So I'm going to close the session and thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Please stand by.